So hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'm really happy to be here with you today. It's a great opportunity for me to share my journey and thoughts with you. I hope this session inspires you and gives you some useful tools and maybe even helps you take your own next step forward. So my name is Elia Reza, and I am the co-founder and COO of Circle, a woman-led waste management and environmental consulting company based in Akkar, northern Lebanon. So at Circle, we are dedicated to transforming waste generation and disposal practices through community engagement and educational programs. We started Circle because we saw a problem and wanted to do something about it, not just talk about change, but actually make it happen. Being woman-led and based in rural area makes our journey even more special and more challenging. Okay, so before we started Circle, I studied biology and biochemistry, and then I did my master's in genomics and proteomics. I completed my master's too in France, and after COVID, I came back to Lebanon. I started working remotely as a sales representative and brand ambassador for a biotech startup in the US. Through this experience, I found myself more and more interested in business and entrepreneurship. And today I am also finalizing my MBA at the American University of Beirut to learn more and do better as we grow our business. Going into the world of business and entrepreneurship has been a big journey, not easy, but definitely exciting. And it's a space where you're always learning and adapting and solving real problems. Okay, so before I tell you more about how Circle came to life and how we are moving forward, today we are going to talk about three things. What is a startup? How does a startup become successful? And how do we deal with failure? Because it's part of the journey too. I'll speak from my own experience, the good moments, the challenges, and the lessons we've learned while building Circle. Before I start, I really want to thank INJAZ. They supported us a lot, from coaching sessions to training and giving us opportunities to grow and get exposure. Their support really helped us shape Circle and move forward in our journey. Okay, so a startup is not just a small company. It's a company that is in the early stage, built to solve a problem and built to grow. It's about finding something or new solution to all the problems in a fast and creative way. As Steve Blank, a well-known entrepreneur and teacher at Stanford, says, a startup is a temporary organization used to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. In simple words, a startup is a company that is still discovering how to do business. It tries new things, makes mistakes, learns quickly, and keep improving. All startups begin with a problem. So Uber saw the problem of expensive, hard to find taxis. Airbnb saw travelers struggling with hotel prices and no personal connection. And Zoom saw the need for easy online meetings, especially during COVID-19. And at Circle, we saw a very real problem. When my colleague Hiba and I moved back to our hometown village in Akkar, we saw a real problem. No proper collection, no sorting, no recycling, just burning and dumping in nature and piles of waste everywhere. We were used to seeing better system in other places, and we thought, let's be the solution. Let's make our area a better place. And that's how Circle was born, from a local problem to a strong desire to fix it. Many startups begin with a simple observation, something in the world that could be better. Founders often notice a gap, a need, or a challenge, and they feel a strong motivation to respond to it. They ask themselves, what if we could do something about this? And from that question, an idea begins to grow. What drives most startups is the desire to create meaningful change. They are powered by passion, by purpose, and a vision for something better. Profit is important, of course, but in the early days, what keeps people going is the belief that their work matters. As Simon Sinek famously says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And in startups, the why is always very important. Our why at Circle is about more than just weight. It's about the waste. It's about the first circle, so this is the environment we live in. It's about the second circle, the people or the community around us. And it's about the third circle, the local economy and the value we can create when we stop seeing waste as a problem and start seeing it as a resource. This is what keeps us going at Circle, not just running a business, but building something with purpose and impact. And we've already seen this impact. So, in our first year, Circle achieved some exciting milestones. We organized over 20 events, reaching more than 1K participants and recruited 20 volunteers. We established 14 strategic partnerships with local and international organizations. We created several local inclusive green jobs helping support the economy in our region. We expanded our waste collection services to over 50 SMEs, schools, and NGOs and reached over 200 households. But importantly, we diverted 80 tons of recyclables from the Srar landfill, giving these materials a second life in production. Do I need to answer in the chat now or I continue?
Hi, Elia. You can continue, and I'll handle the chat, and I'll handle the Q&A. We're just
Yes,
ourselves. They're just telling you where they're from.
yes, okay. So now I want to talk about a few global examples at this stage. Stories of startups that began with simple ideas and grew into something huge. These examples show us how solving a real problem, staying flexible, and understanding your users can lead to real success. So, for example, Airbnb. Airbnb started in 2008 when the founders couldn't pay rent. They put air mattresses in their living room and offered bed and breakfast to travelers. The idea sounded strange at first. Who would sleep in a stranger's home? But they focused on trust, design, and convenience. And today, Airbnb is worth over $100 billion. Anghami, for example. Anghami is a music streaming app launched in 2012. Anghami solved a big problem in the Middle East. No legal or easy way to stream Arabic music. Most people used pirated websites and artists weren't being paid. So Anghami changed that by building a platform focused on Arabic content with local design and payment systems. Today, Anghami supports both music lovers and the regional music industry. WhatsApp, no, we all know WhatsApp. So WhatsApp started in 2009 when two former Yahoo employees wanted to create a simple app and let people send messages for free using the internet instead of SMS. At the time, international texting was expensive, and when WhatsApp solved that problem in a very simple way, the app grew because people loved it and shared it. Just 5 years later, Facebook bought WhatsApp for $19 billion. Startups are designed to grow. A startup is not a small version of a big company. A big company already has systems, structure, and stability. A startup is more like an experiment. It's searching for what works, who to serve, and how to grow. As Eric Rice, author of The Lean Startup, says, a startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And startups don't follow a fixed plan. They adapt every day. They test, get feedback, and change things quickly. That's how they improve. And importantly, a startup is built to scale. It starts small, maybe one street, one app, or one product, but it's designed to grow big and make even bigger impact. So, at Circle, we started with one big idea, Let's make plastic crates from recycled plastic. We believed in the circular economy and we wanted to create a product that would bring materials back into use. So we did our research, looked into the process, and spoke to people who had done it before. But quickly we learned something important. To make those crates, we first needed access to clean, shredded, and sorted plastic. And in our region, there was no supply chain for that, nothing to build on. That's when we realized before we can make products from recycled plastic, we need to fix the most basic step, the collection step, because there was no regular system for collecting recyclables in our area. So we made a strategic decision. We took a step back. We decided to focus on collection and community awareness because that was the missing piece. And this is exactly what thinking looks like. Okay, so we start with an idea, we test it, and when the reality shows us something different, we adapt. Now our collection is growing fast and it's laying a foundation for the future. So, as you can see, a startup is much more than just a business. It's a journey of problem solving, learning, and building something with meaning. And now that we know what a startup really is, let's explore the next big question and the next big question, which is how does a startup become successful? Okay, and here I want to speak to you not just as a co founder, but also as someone who is studying business at a deeper level. Many people think success comes from having the perfect idea, but in reality, success comes from testing, learning, and building smart step by step. Today, I'll walk you through the key building blocks every startup needs, no matter the industry, using both the model business theory and my own experience from Circle. So, as we said in the previous section, when you're building a startup, the first thing you need to really solve is a real problem, a problem that people actually experience and want a solution for. And this is what we call finding a pain point. It could be something frustrating, expensive, time consuming, or just inefficient, anything that causes stress, waste, or loss of value for someone. But it doesn't stop there. You also need to understand the gain, the positive change your solution brings. This is what we call pain and gain mapping. At Circle, we followed this exact approach. We started out with an idea. We wanted to make plastic crates from recycled materials, foldable, strong, and useful for farmers in our region. But when we started talking to people, when we actually mapped the pain and the gain, we realized something important. Farmers weren't asking for foldable or decorative crates. The real problem was the lack of proper recycling system, no clean sorted plastic, no collection services. The pain wasn't the product, the pain was the whole system. And that insight helped us pivot and build a model that was actually needed. So instead of focusing on the end product, we focused on building the system, awareness, collection, sorting, and eventually processing. And that's what startup thinking is really about: listening, learning, and building something that actually solves the real problem. Step two. One of the most important concepts in startup development is the minimum viable product, or the MVP. An MVP is the simplest version of your service or product that allows you to test your idea, get feedback, and improve before scaling. At Circle, at the start, our MVP was a basic waste collection and awareness service. We didn't have fancy bins or an app. We just started with direct outreach, a few tools, and a clear mission. This has allowed us to test. Do people want this? Will they participate? What challenges do they face? What challenges will we face? What can we improve and what do we need? And don't wait to build a perfect solution. Build something simple and improve as you go. Before you invest time, energy, or money, you need to validate your ideas. This means checking, is this something people truly need and want? And at Circle, we joined incubations programs, conducted multiple surveys, and launched a small pilot project. This helped us understand local habits and gaps, test willingness to participate, and evaluate demand for future services like consultancy, training, and recycled material supply. And we used that feedback to adjust our model before scaling. Another example is Duolingo, other than Circle. So Duolingo didn't wait to build the perfect app. They released a basic version for early users and used feedback to improve features. Today, it's one of the most used language learning platforms globally. Next, so now once you have your idea and you've validated, you need to know exactly who are you serving because not all the customers are the same. To succeed, you need to understand your audience and how their needs are different. And this is what we call customer mapping. So you ask yourself, who are they? What do they struggle with? What would make their life easier? And what results are they hoping for? This is different from pain and gain mapping because here you're focusing on who the customer is, how they behave, and what segment they belong to, not just the specific problem they're facing. In customer mapping, you're identifying the different groups. We call them segments that you serve, each with their own needs and expectations. At Circle, we worked on this early on. We mapped out different types of customers, the people who use our services, and the ones who actually buy from us. Let me give you two quick examples from our work. Local industries who buy recyclables. These are businesses who need clean and good quality recyclables. Their pain was clear. They had limited access to good quality materials and they relied on expensive imports. Their gain, we deliver clean, sorted recyclables at a lower cost than virgin material right here in the region, supporting their work and promoting the circular economy. Municipalities and NGOs who need consultancy. These are partners who want to improve waste management. Their pain, there was a lack of reliable registered companies in our area, especially ones with real expertise and the ability to follow up who actually are implementing the solution. So we positioned Circle as a professional women-led company that offers tailored waste management training, ongoing technical support, local implementation capacity, and a trusted presence in the community. Now that you've mapped your customers and you understand their needs, the next big question is what exactly are you offering and how are you delivering it? Because at the end of the day, your product or service is your value. And as a startup, it should be clear. You also need to think about how you're reaching to them and how your service fits into their daily life. And of course, communication is a big part of the delivery, and you should focus on the whole communication cycle before, during, and after the service. Before the service, awareness and onboarding. During the service, guidance and support. And after the service, follow up and feedback. You can have the best service in the world, but if people don't understand it, trust it, or know how to use it, they won't engage. That's why communication is just as important as the service itself. From the first moment someone hears about you, to how they experience the service, to how they feel afterward, every stage matters. Now, let's talk about something a lot of startups forget to focus on, and that's your competitors. Even if no one is exactly doing what you're doing, it's important to know your landscape. So you need to ask yourself who else is offering something similar? What are they doing well? What are their gaps? And most importantly, what makes you different? What makes you unique? So at Circle, what makes us unique is that our solution is comprehensive. We start with awareness and education. We offer door to door collection services. We buy recyclables from residents as an incentive to sort. We handle sorting and treatment. We sell clean recyclables to local industries. We offer consultancy and training to institutions, and we follow up consistently to improve our results. And all of this is powered by a women led team from the local community in Akkar and using a system that operates on solar energy, thanks to INJAZ and the NDP, by the way, for this. So, a system that operates on solar energy, clean, reliable, and sustainable. And this full circle is what sets Circle apart. Okay, now let me give you a quick example from the tech world, different from Circle. So it's Zoom. Zoom didn't invent video calls. Okay, so Skype, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, they were all already there. But what Zoom did differently was make it easier, simpler, and more reliable, especially during the COVID when people really need it. So because they know where others were weak, they filled that gap and scaled fast. Same thing with your startup. Know what's missing and be the one who does it better. Finally, really to grow and make smart decisions, you need to track what matters. Choose simple KPIs and review them regularly. You also need a basic understanding of your costs, break-even point, and how each activity contributes to your income, even if you don't have a finance team. And at the end of the day, success is about execution. Even if simple tools like Excel or WhatsApp can help you stay organized, track operations, and manage daily work. Your team doesn't have to be big, but every member should have clear roles and believe in the mission. That's what creates focus and momentum. And remember, it's not just about gaining first customers, it's about keeping them. So, customer retention comes from trust, consistency, and continuous improvement. Keep it simple, but stay focused. Before ending the session today, let's talk about something that's not always easy but very important: failure. Many people believe that failure is the opposite of success, but the truth is, it's part of the journey. And as Ariana Huffington once said, failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of the success. Let's be honest, many startups fail, and they fail for all kinds of reasons. And what do you think is the number one reason startups fail? You can write for us in the chat. I'm not sure if they can open the mic, but you can write for us in the chat if you want.
Feel free to write in the chat. Why do you feel startups fail? So I'll start the
Yes.
conversation. I wrote because of poor planning. What do you think, Ilya?
Okay, for me, I have plenty of reasons. I just want to see if they have some answers or we can move forward. Yes,
So we have not enough research and inconsistency. Minimal.
exactly. Yes.
Wow.
So exactly. So according to global research, the top reasons startups fail include no real market needs, running out of money, the wrong team or lack of skills, pricing or business model didn't work, and stronger competitors, as we already said, entering the space. So sometimes things simply don't go as planned, and that's okay. And what matters is how you respond. At Circle, we faced our own challenges, especially in the very beginning. 2 or 3 months after we launched, we ran into problems at our first location. We faced resistance from the local community and it was difficult. We could have stopped right there. We could said this isn't working, let's quit. But instead of giving up, we moved. We found another location that was more suitable. We built a new deal, and that one decision helped us keep going. So the lesson here, don't give up, adapt, and try again. Now, I really want to give two quick stories. So, anyone here heard how Instagram actually started? We all know Instagram. Anyone know how it started?
Feel free to write in the chat box.
Hanan is saying no.
Tell us, Ilya, how?
Okay, yes. So Instagram didn't start as Instagram, honestly. It began as a complex app called Bourbon. It had check-ins, photo sharing points, and more. It was confusing and it failed to gain traction. But the team noticed that users only loved one feature, the photo filters. So they removed everything else and focused only on that, and that's how Instagram was born. Another story. Karim, do you know Karim?
Yes.
Yes. So do you want me to tell you the story or someone know how it worked? Yes, so apparently we know Karim. Okay, so Karim began in 2012 with as a car booking service in Dubai. In the beginning, they had many problems, not enough drivers, weak logistics, and people didn't trust ride apps yet. But they didn't give up. They listened to users and made changes. They added cash payment options and strong customer service and expanded to smaller cities where other services weren't available. So, step by step, they grew into the biggest ride app in the Middle East. And in 2020, Uber bought Careem for $3.1 billion. So, these stories, Instagram and Careem, show us something important. Failure is not the end, it can help you find what works. What matters is to listen, change, and keep trying. Okay, so what can you do when things don't go as planned? Here are a few things that have worked for me and for my business and even in my life and for many others. So first, reflect honestly. What went wrong? What did we learn? Talk it out. So talk to your customers, to your team, to your mentors. Be flexible, be willing to adjust or even restart, but don't disappear. And in your own startup, try to build a culture where failure is seen as part of the learning. Encourage your team to share challenges early. Reflect often. What worked, what didn't. Celebrate small wins. Even progress that feels slow is still a progress. And lead by example. So if you share your own mistakes, your team will feel safe doing the same. And don't wait for perfection, move forward and keep improving. So, failure teaches us some of the most powerful lessons. It teaches us resilience, how to stand back when things go wrong. It teaches us humility, and that's okay not to have all the answers, and teaches us patience, so that meaningful things take time. And if we really wait for the perfect moment, or if we are afraid to fail, we might never take the step. But when we try, fail, and try again, that's when we grow. And I truly believe that's how you build something meaningful, and that's how you become better as a founder and as a person. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today, and thank you so much, INJAZ, for this opportunity.